Hello there, guys. Welcome to my crack book, and then loaded up on YouTube. I'm not sure how long I'm going to get because Shiloh's actually been asleep for a while, and Elijah's not long gone down. For many who already know me, today is the anniversary of Aaron and Faith being taken by Flintshire County Council by I've got to add in the spellings of their names because I couldn't be bothered getting the paperwork out to check the spellings of their names. So PC Stephen Lewis, Cheryl Ozbilen, social worker, Karrie Laugharne, social worker, and District Judge Andrew Shaw. And I can't remember the CAF officer's name at this particular time. As you know, I have draconian gagging orders on me that mean that I can't tell anybody that Aaron and Faith were taken by the state, and I can't discuss my case with anybody. Today is one of those days where you try to just get on with it being a normal day. It's Friday the 13th, and to many people, they're just focused on the fact that it's Friday the 13th, but it's Friday the 13th of December, and it was 7 years ago today. I can't believe it's been 7 years, but it was 7 years since Aaron and Faith were taken from Myla Hospital in Wrexham within 3 minutes, where I was changed from an Ehlers-Danlos syndrome mum who was supported by Leyland Social Services with an indicative budget, which meant that there was a 24-hour emergency care plan in the event of me going into A&E for all of my children. I have here somewhere. I did have here somewhere. Where is it? I was just sat with it. I might have moved it. So basically 7 years ago, this was my family and this was my life. And Liam was at college doing all his art, graphics, designs, and music. And he was skateboarding, BMXing, free running. He was part of Street Monkeys in Preston. And Daniel was just competing in nationals for athletics. He was a goalkeeper for his football. And both of them were doing really well. And Aaron and Faith were in nursery, and they'd had a childminder previously to that, and I was working. I was registered as self-employed with Challenge Britain, which was changed to Step Up Britain, as you know, due to web domains with Land Rover. And I was basically coaching people on a pilot study which was being prepared to be rolled out to the mass, to basically help people find their purpose and passions and principles, for those that had gone off track to come back on track. So it was a bridge within the benefit system to basically find out where you were, where you wanted to be, and what this gap was, and to close that gap in the middle. And that's what coaches do. They're there to hold you accountable and help you bridge that gap and close that gap from where you are to where you want to be. And where am I now? I'm in a one-bedroom flat in Portsmouth. I have two other children here with me, Elijah and Shiloh. And I have been through the services again. And still, I say, these services are faulty. They are damaged. What they are doing to families with physical conditions coming under the mental health bracket, who have become homeless. That's a bit worrying. I'm not expecting anybody at my door. My internet's been disconnected today, by the way. 2 seconds, because... It's okay, it's okay. Oh, bless. I don't know where your bottle is. Oh, and here we go. The joys of the door knocking and my children being woken up. In fact, it's just scared the living shits out of Shiloh. I was a bit concerned then because my internet got suspended this morning. And obviously people know I was coming on to do this live. Little mopper top. And little skateboarder, bless his cotton socks. Sorry I had to go there. But you never know who's at the door these days, do you? It was actually one of the girls saying their neighbour was getting rid of a sofa bed and did I want it. We all struggle at times. We all do. Sometimes parents die, we go through grief. Sometimes we lose a job and we fall into debt. Everybody is in debt. Everybody who has rent mortgage is in debt. And a lot of people are very isolated and live alone. And the only people that they turn to as the services that exist in this country, and that's social care, be it adult social care or children's social care, or you go to the GP. So if there's something physically wrong with you or mentally wrong with you, you go to your GP. You only get 5 minutes. Most people get labelled and things. But I've been through this system with 2 older boys where I still had an indicative budget, and it wasn't like this. This is the crazy thing about it. When I first went through this system with Liam and Daniel, and I was at university and social stamped all of my things, and it was done by adult social services, I never had this. I never had this persecution, but I was also in a suburban property. Social workers have no right to judge anybody. They're not there to judge. And this line between child protection and early years and children's social care is too blurred. If you listen to Exposure Don't Take My Child, the judge very, very clearly says on there that social workers came into social work to help, and it's become predominantly child protection. Everywhere in the country, be it churches, be it the education system, be it your local sports centre, your children's society, sports and activities. Can you see yourself? They are all, you got scratched from your brother yesterday, didn't you? They are all safeguarding places. And that basically means that wherever you go, everybody is pretty much looking at you for your weaknesses, what you're doing wrong, what your labels are. Social workers don't get to know you. They're not interested in whether you paint. They're not interested in what your hobbies or your interests are or who you are as a person. They want to know whether you've been sexually, physically, emotionally abused, which is abusive, by the way, to bring that on a person in such a meeting where there is no counsellor present. That's trauma. You're basically gaslighting somebody with their trauma. Some people fall into housing. They go to council house. They can go into bridge homes, hostels, things like that. None of this gives anybody the right to take a child off people. We should be supporting people through adversity. If somebody's mum dies and the father or the mother is going through grief and they're having a hard time, mother or father may lose one child but have other children. I've even seen people get diagnosed with cancer and children get removed and they haven't seen them again. I've even seen women who have been attacked or raped or through domestic violence have been at the police station. Children have been taken into foster care while they've been interviewed and they haven't seen their children since. And you know, we're coming to the end of Christmas, coming to the close of Christmas now. And unfortunately, just like people want puppies for Christmas for their children or little guinea pigs, they also want children for Christmas. And if there's somebody out there with plenty of money in their pocket and goes, I want blue-eyed, blonde-haired child, blah, 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 it's very, very easy to set a parent up. especially if somebody is drug dependent, especially if somebody is alcohol dependent, and especially if somebody has been through some form of trauma. Children shouldn't be brought up in domestic violence homes. They shouldn't. But shit happens and couples argue, and we don't have the correct services in this country. We have Relate, but if there has ever been any push, shove, slap, not saying it's right, but they will not counsel you. Even Jerry McKyle wouldn't see a couple if they have been considered under domestic violence. Now, if two brothers came together, like my two do, and little scratches on their faces because they scrap and have fights, if I said, I'm sorry, but you two can't be brothers anymore because you fight. No, what you do is you sit the both of them down and you talk to them, you know, about the emotional damage that they're causing to each other and the physical hurt that they, look, you've actually hurt your brother. And you make them say sorry and come together and you bring together. You know, you don't come in and go, well, you know, Elijah and Shiloh, you're having physical scraps right now. I'm sorry, but you've got to go in that house and you've got to go in that house. In fact, what we're going to do is one's going to go and live with the father and one we're going to go and live with the mother. In fact, the fact that you have been fighting, we're going to take you away from both of your parents now and we're going to go and put them with somebody else. But we're going to separate you because you two fight and never will you meet again and never will you come back together again. And you're deemed as two fighting brothers. That doesn't happen, does it? Well, it does. Brothers fight, brothers fall out. But what we should be doing as a society is helping people overcome these problems, be it in a love relationship, be it mother and father, be it mother and daughter, father and daughter. We should have services in this country that say we can come together as a family, but we're living under a system that points fingers. And it's pointing fingers. It's not saying this is where you are, this is where you want to get to. It's not saying, look, currently this is dysfunctional and unhealthy, and obviously you want to get to a healthy point and we're going to help you sort this out. It doesn't do that. It doesn't say, hey, you're homeless at this particular point now, but ultimately these are the steps and stages that you're going to go through to change that. Just watch out, darling, because mummy's tea's there. And what was I saying? Can I just move that for you? So basically, whatever reason somebody goes to social services now, if you fall below the threshold, then you're going to go under legal planning because they want to subpoena you and hold you accountable. So if you are drug dependent, they obviously want you to be clean from drugs. They don't give you a particular time to do that in. We're under a 26-week court process. Even housing can't find somebody a house in 28 weeks. In fact, the assessment is 28 weeks. And these timeframes are unpractical. And also, when somebody comes under social as well, they're never properly explained the process that they're going through. I didn't know when Aaron and Faith were first taken, I'm going mental each day thinking they can come back every day. It was only my ex-husband who explained to me, who wasn't Aaron and Faith's father, who's Liam and Daniels, who explained to me that I was in a 26-week court process and there was nothing that I could do until the end of it. The damage of removal is worse than physical and sexual abuse. It's worse. And it is. It's worse. I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that you've got to drag a child off of. I'm not saying that there aren't people out there doing very evil, bad things to children. There are. Can they be helped? I don't know. But there is a lot of innocent people caught up in the system who are not child abusers. They are not abusive parents. I mean, it's going to become illegal to smack your child in this country very soon. What happens if a parent who's already been smacking their children and does smack their children? What are they going to do then? Are they going to come in heavy-footed and go, you smack your child, now you're going to go? No, what they're going to do is go, look, this is the reasons that we've brought these laws in. This is the reasons that we disagree with corporal punishment to children. And this is the way that you should be positive parenting your children. And they should give the parents the opportunity to do that. However, the question is, if the government make it illegal for you to smack a child, and a parent has an unruly child who's not listening and does smack their child, should that then be criminal? And who has the right to make that decision on how a parent disciplines their child? Because if a parent uses positive reinforcement, which is what I was done for, it was classed as manipulative parenting, because I said, well, I don't smack my children, I use positive parenting, which was actually a course that I'd gone on via social services when I was a teen mum. That was then called manipulative style of parenting. It was their own fucking program, do you know what I mean? Excuse my language, darling. But at the end of the day, you have to give people chances. There are environments that children shouldn't be brought up in. But then I have been to the success resources, success principles and all of that, where you listen to the stories of people who have come from the streets as families, people who had crashed out of their lives, people who had turned to drugs, people who had gone down the road of alcohol, people who had even fricked up their marriages and things, but they resolved the issues and they came back together. We live in a society that says if something's broke, you don't fix it. Washing machines now are not built to last. Fridge freezers are not built to last. Cars are not built to last. The moment they come to the end of their days, it's scrapped and it's put on the heat. That's what people believe that we should be doing with relationships and also with our children. What is it you're wanting? It's here. What, you want this pillow? You want this pillow? No? Your pillow's in the bedroom, darling. What was I saying? I can't think what I was saying now. But at the end of the day, we should be able to turn to our family and friends. You can turn to Google for pretty much anything now. What are you looking for? Your pillow? Yeah. Yeah? You want your pillow? 2 seconds, guys, because I'm going to have to go and get his pillow for him. Do you want to say hello while Mummy goes and gets your pillow quickly? Can you say hello? In the chat. Mum, get your pillow. Not one of my greatest lives, guys. Sorry. The joys of trying to live in one world and still have your foot in another one, I suppose. And the fact is, the moment a child is taken, and if you are not a parent who is actually handing your child over for adoption, and even then you would be expected to have some form of grief. Because these babies are created in us mothers' wombs. They are knitted in our wombs. They are part of us. They have the same DNA as us and the father. They look like us and their father and their grandparents and their siblings. Might even look like one of their cousins. And they are the most beautiful, beautiful, beautiful little things that it is our responsibility to educate them and nurture them and guide them and teach them and love them and care for them and provide for them until they can stand on their own 2 feet and fly the nest and become healthy, happy, thriving, functional members of society. But it's not like that for everybody. People have trauma. People go through things. People struggle with things. People don't have the tools and the skills to deal with conflict within relationships. We're not taught how to deal with conflict in relationships. We're not taught how to deal with different belief systems with people, even within our own family dynamics. We can even actually have different values and beliefs from our own parents. So many families are broken. So many families are dysfunctional now. We are under the Henry VIII C of E Church, which was all about divorce. We are not educated anymore about the family dynamics. Marriage is certainly not on the forefront of the majority of people's minds anymore. And long-term commitment, lifetime commitment together through thick and thin is ignored. I've even known of couples who have been together 20, 30, 40 years who have been separated by the state, you know, over one issue, and they haven't had any problems all the way through that freaking time, and then bang, something significant happens, like a parent might die and the father might turn to drinking, and the mother reaches out and gets them help, and bang, all of a sudden the kids are taken into care. And then you've got the other problem, is that people like me with physical conditions should be able to turn to the system, whereas say I ended up in A&E, they should be able to go and put my children into some form of a nursing provider at the hospital, or you know, build a team around me of people who are willing, in the event of an emergency, to be the support network for my family. Even foster carers, there could be foster carers allocated to somebody like me to make sure that if I'm not well, you know, that I can give them a call and say, is there any chance you can come out to the park with me today? You know, or I need to go swimming and I could do with somebody coming with me. You know, for people who don't have families, the system should be existing in this way, but it doesn't. And it's not. And what is happening is abusive. What is happening is barbaric. When you listen, I don't want to play it now because Shiloh sat in front of me, but when you listen to Exposure Don't Take My Child, and you listen to those piercing screams of them, that mum and the baby, that's real. That's real. If a child went missing and there was a news bulletin, that parent could be devastated, stressed, high anxiety, crying, emotional, scared, fearful. But when you enter the family courts, this is not recognised. You have to be subordinate. You have to be, you have to lay down to these people. You have to take what they say to you. You have to make sure you stay out of contempt of court. There you have an emotion. There you have a feeling, and they don't recognise this. It's like, well, the parent's not working with us. It's like, well, hang on a minute. You walked into their home, you took their kids off them. They don't even know where their kids are, who they're with, what's going on. And then they're seeing reports on their children that their children are hiding under tables, as mine was. And then they're blaming the mother, and it wasn't, it was them. Seeing reports saying, you know, Faith is coming out of her shell. Faith was never in her shell. You know, it was the removal that caused that. And then you've got the devastation of living with it since. And that isn't easy. You have to wake up every day not knowing where your children are. And if anybody knows what it's like to lose a child in a mall, in a shopping centre, or like me the other day, Shiloh getting in the bloody lift, you know, and you know that anxiety and that fear, even at the park, you turn around and your child is not there. They've gone to see the ducks or something, and they're walking towards the fucking lake, and you're going, ah, you know, quick, stop. You know, us parents who've had our kids taken live with that permanently. Permanently. It doesn't go away. The majority of people who have had their kids taken are in bed. Many have lost their children, their homes, and they're on the streets. And they're still on the streets, or they're in hostels trying to get their life back together. Some people knuckle down and go and get jobs and live a different life. Some people never mention to anybody that they've had their kids taken because they're too fearful that they'll go to prison. Some people like me come out and blaze a fire and fight fire with fire. Yes, darling. Mama. Mama. Yeah, I'm your mama. And then you've got the children on the other side of it that are inside going, Mama, Dada, where's my mama? Where's my dada? Who can't talk to people because they don't know them, they don't trust them. When a child has been saved from abuse, it's different. But this system doesn't work. This system is failing children that are abused, and it is failing families that need a little bit of extra support. We're coming into Christmas. My health visitor has been here this morning to drop off things from I think it was Wave FM. So she's dropped some Christmas presents off from Wave FM because obviously we are classed as early years, so they support people like us. I'm in social housing, I'm on benefits, and that's really lovely, and it's a really lovely gift. but we should be helping people without judgment. It shouldn't be a case of saying, you know, these poor blessed people. It should be coming back to the good old, you know, give a man a fish or teach a man a fish. You know, if they actually invited parents who are below the threshold, who do struggle, who don't have normal functioning, if they actually had them in foster care and they invited them around at Christmas, help them see what a Christmas functional family was, where actually people do drink alcohol. Alcohol is present over Christmas. It's a debauchery time. That's what it's about, getting drunk and being mischievous. You know, but there are so many ways to put guidelines in. You can have a house phone in. You can have a lifeline phone put into your home. You know, if a child can be educated and taught about all of their parents' challenges, it shouldn't be this way. But everybody goes through some form of adversity at some point, be it money stress, and we're taught not to burden our children with money, but our children should be learning about money. Our children shouldn't be growing up thinking that Father Christmas goes out there and brings these presents to them at Christmas. Children should know that parents work really, really hard all year to save up for bits to get you, you know, some nice bits to go into a new year. We should just be buying our kids nice bits when they need them anyway. We shouldn't be storing them up to, you can have it at Christmas. That's quite punishing, really. That's saying, be good all year and I'll bless you, when actually we should just be living our lives and being blessed with the needs that we have anyway. Children shouldn't have to wait until Christmas for a bike in the summer. You need your haircut, mister. We're trying to grow it out to get a bit of a style in it first, so we're getting cut on the 18th. So at the end of the day, social services should be enabling people. Social services should be understanding, not overstanding. Social workers should be coming in, as I have always said, they should feel like angels in your home. They should feel like people who are here to understand you, to understand the challenges that you're currently facing, to help you through them. And if they sent non-directive coaches in over freaking social workers, they would sit down with you. If you turn around and go, I'm gonna kill the kids, they go, they take you through it. They go, okay, so how are you going to kill your kids? Well, I'm going to dangle them out the fucking 17th floor. Okay, and why do you feel the need to do this? Well, you know, they're driving me up the wall. I've just tidied the bloody living room and they've gone and brought all the toys back out today and they're jumping all over the bloody sofa and I just want to get out the door and I'm just, you know, my back's hurting and my legs are hurting. It's like, oh, bless you, want coffee? You know, let's have a glass of lemon and water. You know, but it's report writing. But these report writings are not coming from a holistic point of view. And this is what is massively missing. And this is what I was bringing in, the wheel of balance, looking at all areas and aspects of the family and the family dynamics on a scale of 1 to 10, how well they were doing in these areas, be it that they were looking at the relationships with themselves. You know, was there trauma that they needed to heal from with themselves? Was there talents that they wanted to work out? Did they want re-education? And looking at the relationship dynamics around with the family, you know, was there a positive or negative relationship with mother or father? Lots of fathers are alienated by the mothers. It happens every time a separation goes on. It's the hardest thing to do. You know, even Dean and I have come to full-blown separation this week and yesterday. And, you know, it's going to be challenging properly, making sure that, you know, kids are between two parents, and it is very difficult, which is why we should have mediation. It's why we should have this help, but they should be helping the couples either come back together and resolve their issues and support them through that, or you know, how to amicably separate and make sure that the children are okay. Look, our lives are nobody else's business. We are responsible for our own lives. But people fuck up, or people hit adversary. Houses get burnt down, fires happen, devastating winds and rains batter the living daylights out of properties. People have car crashes, people get terminal cancer. Guinea hen weed, by the way, is what is actually, it's not normal weed, it's guinea hen weed, which is the cure for cancer. You know, and they know this. Government know this. Government know that there are solutions to every problem. We know that there are solutions to every problem. And there's very, very, very little things that we have in this country that we can't overcome a problem with. We have the facilities and resources. We have the drug and alcohol rehabilitation. How it's not great, but we have it. We have the reforms. We have the prison systems. You know, we have these things in place that actually do work. You know, we have these guidelines in place, but they're not being followed properly. They're not, because it's being manipulated. That's another story. But I just want to say to police officers out there that when you attend somebody's home and you've just come on shift and all you have in front of you is an order to remove a child, and your job that day is to attend Kelly Cottam's home at Save the Family, and you have been told that, I don't know, the mother has threatened to harm the children, yeah, and you attend that property and actually you can see that everything's okay, the children are happy, everything's going on, you should be going back to that courts and going, I'm sorry, but there's something not right here. And to remove that child at this particular point would be damaging and detriment to the family. What I'm advising at this particular point, while the social services can investigate into this family, is that a family support worker is allocated to the family. They will turn up in the mornings, they will assist and help them getting out the door to school, making sure that routine. They will work with the parents while the children are in school. They will work with the school, with the children. And then when they come home for tea, you know, they will help them with healthy recipes and food and homework activities and, you know, bedtime routines, and getting support for the parents to have, you know, time away as a couple, and looking at how the family are going to finance the family. That's what I'm saying. There's so many better ways to do this other than just coming in. And even when the child is not removed, to institutionalize a parent through fear of a child removed is barbaric. That is like getting married to somebody being told that if you don't be the perfect wife, I'm going to give you a bitch slap, or I'll leave you, I'll divorce you if you do this, this, and this. Okay, you can have those terms and conditions. If you cheat on me, I will divorce you. If you beat me, I will divorce you. Fantastic. That's your guidelines and that's your boundaries. Social services do need to come in at some point. The problem is that line has become so blurred now, but with that blurredness is damage to good people. Damage to people who just either wanted help at school for their children because their children's father had died and they were emotional and they wanted support. That didn't mean you focused on the problems and ignored the solutions, because when you go into the courts, that 26 weeks is information gathering against you. It is your solicitor's job to represent you, but they're paid by the same authorities. And if an authority has actually removed a child and it was unlawful and unnecessary, therefore they are liable and they are suable. And they are suable. It's just that you either don't know how to do it or you can't afford to get solicitors to do it. But if it was an unlawful, unnecessary removal, they are liable. They are suable. It's just that we, the people, have to take that private prosecution against them using their same system to hold them accountable. Majority of people who have their children taken are vulnerable adults, do have learning difficulties, do have mental health issues, do fall into depression, do fall into suppression, and don't have the confidence to stand in a court and represent themselves, or don't have the confidence to even speak to a solicitor. Both of my kids are going to be up now, so. And Elijah, you come in? Oh, let me just go and get him and then I'll finish up quickly. I won't be on later either because I want to get a load of stuff done today. Yeah, you can, because I've managed to get the internet off of my city Wi-Fi. Am I sat on your legs? Let me just get him on before I... Oh, what's happened? Oh, we've got to get some nappies and some money to get some nappies. So yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, what's the matter, darling? Is your car under your bum? Yeah. Oh, you got a car under your bottom? Yeah. No? No. So yeah, today, this is so not the message I was hoping to come on, and I might come on and, I don't know, I might even redo this, who knows, but at the end of the day, everybody has a right to ask for help. And actually, it takes a very strong person to ask for help. Everybody has the right to receive that help. And we have a system in place that supports that with a budget. We have these systems, but these systems are broken and damaged. And it's up to us now to all contact our MPs, all write to our local systems and say, your current system is not working. This is the consequences of your actions. The consequences of their actions is I have lived in grief every day since Aaron and Faith were taken. I have lost my family. I have lost my friends. I have lost my home. I have lost my lifestyle. I have lost my passions, my interests, what I love, what I do. It has changed my whole life. And many, 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 many others. You're going to cut that off if you do that, dude. Can you get your car off the laptop, please? Excuse me, car off the laptop. It's not for the laptop, is it? And even couples need some form of system to get help if they can't turn to their parents, their brothers, uncles, their best friends. The system should be bridging the gap where things are missing, not persecuting, discriminating, causing misfeasance, malfeasance, non-misfeasance, and causing miscarriages of justice. It's their own language, it's their own spiel, it's their own speak. They have to come into their own laws too. The social workers provide false information to police officers that result in a removal. These police officers should be prosecuting the social workers. If a parent of the other person makes a false allegation against the other parent, that should be criminal. If a CAF officer makes the wrong statement, it should be criminal. It should be cared for and tenderly dealt with. And they should be focusing on who that person really is. And they're not qualified to do this. Social workers are not qualified. They're not qualified to do reporting. They are not qualified to be analysing you. They are not qualified to counsel you. They are not qualified in any of these areas or one iota. Their qualifications do not come into this remit. Judges are not qualified to interpret a psychological report. Judges are not qualified to understand mental health. Judges are not qualified to penalise somebody with a physical condition, hence why they bring specialists into the courts. But these specialists are not coming. The funding is not being given. The solicitors and barristers are not bringing these things forward. Hello there, David. Sorry, it's been an absolute chaos life, I'm afraid, because my door went and startled one of the kids and woke them up, and then Elijah's woken up. And they were on different time frames of going to sleep anyway. So, but I was basically just saying today that it's the anniversary of the day that Aaron and Faith were taken. We were finally putting the Christmas tree up, and all of a sudden, you know, I'm being taken to a side ward at the hospital, and my kids are gone, and they're up for adoption and gone. And I've just been talking about the problems that we've got with this system and how we should be supporting and how we could be supporting people. And Dean's not here today, dude. Seriously, he does my nutting about it. Does my nutting, because there's so many people around me, and he knows I struggle with it, and he just wants genuine good people around his family and around his kids. So, and unfortunately, people do come onto these lives and they do say things like, show me your boobs, because obviously I'm feeding, and all that sort of stuff. but we do now. There will be no other general election for the next 4 years now. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know whether they're going to reset next year and go for another 4 years, or if they're going to count the 4 years from now. So basically, whoever's been put into position today will be our MPs. Now is our time. Now is our time to get those letters together, get them statements together. And we all have to bring private prosecutions now. And that is just literally that you bring an injunction in further discrimination against you as a result of this. And you're going to have to sit there and pretty much put together a genealogy of all involvement that you've had from social services, what was correct, what wasn't. I've said all the way through, highlight, blah, blah, blah. And that is going to have to go to everybody. And if you really, really do want to out all of this stuff, we have to be pushing this. It can't stop. It can't stop just because we've had changeovers and stuff. We've got 4 years now to really make these people understand that when they live in their homes where they are on these salaries, that the majority of the world are not, that people do have to run around for that extra pound. People do struggle to get bread. And you could turn around and say, well, if you can't afford to have children, you can't afford to have a home, and you can't afford to have a car, then don't have these things. But that just means that we would end up with a society of goodness knows how many people on the streets. If you took every person now who was on benefits or in social housing and said, our country, which they're going to do, our country is going like Australia, where there is no system like this. What the heck would them people do? What the heck would I do? If there was no free childcare, no support with childcare. So you're basically saying that every single person to be sustainable in this country has to be able to afford a home, a car, the furniture within it, to cover the levels of bills we've got, as well as the childcare and also child education, because if it goes that way, that means we will pay for our children's education out of our pockets, not through tax like we do. And in order to do that in the UK now, you would have to be on a pretty high salary to do that. They're already, I did notice quite a few MPs pushing the £10 minimum on their bids yesterday. I did see this. So this is good, and I'm glad to see that quite a lot of MPs were pushing to say a bog standard minimum of £10 an hour for minimum wage. Even Stephen, our MP here, is using that. I know full well who said that to him because I was there in the office when I said it. So I'm glad to see that he's pushing that. That's how easy we can influence them. Look at when I was living in Stockport. Now, Anne, what was her name? Anne Coffey. She was my MP in Stockport after Aaron and Faith were taken. She couldn't help me with Aaron and Faith because they were taken in Flintshire. And because I didn't live in Flintshire, they couldn't even notify the local MP there. And she couldn't assist with me with anything else other than who was local. So obviously we had a mass local appeal. And then out of that became the Rotherham, because it was Anne that actually uncovered all of that stuff through all of this. So that's how much we can really make a difference. And our MPs live in homes like us, and they drop their kids off to school like us, and their kids go to clubs and activities like us, and they eat out in restaurants like most can't afford. And they go and do normal things. They buy their shopping, their food shopping, and they do all these things because they are normal people. It is society that has created this illusion that people are better than those down here because they're the street rats and, you know, these are the lords and the ladies. And actually, the fact is, I don't even know who's MP today. I haven't even checked. But whoever is, you know, they're still the MP of the Houses of Commons. They're not the MP of the Greater of UK. They are the MPs of the Houses of Commons. And we're not privy to all the information because we are not in the Houses of Lords. We are not ladies and lords. We are the peasants. We are the common people. But that doesn't mean that we can have eugenics. That doesn't mean that they can come in and take our children and pass them off to rich families to give them better chances, because all you're doing is breeding more and more grief. And the majority of those children will not stay in those homes as forever families. There is a natural craving and order. Look at this. You know, I'm mum. They wouldn't sit with anybody else like this. My son can't nuzzle on an adoptive mother's breast if that was a baby. You can't take a baby and take it away from its mother and put it on the breast of the adoptive mother. You can't do that. They don't have the milk. They can't achieve that. They can't naturally feed that baby. They can't even give the natural. It's not the same. Our babies sitting with other people is not the same as how they sit with us, as their dads, their fathers. Dean could be away for weeks, and the moment he walks through the door, these boys are all over him. They adore their father. They love their father. He could be away from them for years. They would still love their father. Yet there are mothers out there, because Dean is not a normal 9-to-5 person. He's an artist at the end of the day. And he travels and lives differently. So there are mothers out there who have stopped that relationship with their kids and with his kids as a result of their hurt from the separation. And that's wrong. It doesn't matter whether it's a judge, it doesn't matter if it's a social worker, it doesn't matter if it's a police officer or the other parent or even grandparents. Not every parent likes a partner's boyfriend or girlfriend, and they can cause issues. And all this stuff gets dumped into the family courts and builds cases to take these children. So every person, can you not do that, darling? Every person who is involved in this is involved in child trafficking. But don't put your foot on there, please, and don't do that. You know, I have to bite your toes. And I will. I'll bite your toes. Oh no, child abuse. Mother threatened to bite toes. Come on, have a fucking sense of humour, you idiots. And I'll beat his bum as well. I'll beat his bum. Yeah? Come on, seriously. And they took me seriously. Don't do, no, now we're getting serious. Don't do that, or I'll move. No, get your feet off the laptop. Those big clubby feet. Look at these for a 2-year-old. These feet for a 2-year-old. Don't you just think feet on a baby and a child is the most scrummy, yummy thing? And don't mothers just think their children's bums are just the most gorgeous, cutest things? All things that doctors and foster carers will never, ever, ever have that chemical attachment to their child. They will never have that same relationship. Children will never, ever, ever grow up. Don't do this. Grow up with the love that they had from a parent. And for parents that don't have a maternal bond and do want to give children up for adoption, one, think about getting the freaking pill. There's plenty of contraception out there. You can get the coil, get fucking sterilised if you don't want kids. Don't bring them into the world in the freaking first place, and close your legs. Basically, don't go out into clubs and get by somebody on drugs and alcohol and bring these children into the world in the first place, or actually have the balls to make the decision to not put that child through that. I'm not saying that children who have been adopted and who have been in foster care are worth any less. They're not, and this is also the stereotype. They deserve to have a great family. They deserve to have the chance of a forever family. And there are foster carers and adoptive parents out there who do love the children that they have, and they can give them some form of love. It's not the same. It never will be the same. It's the same as a step parent. A step parent can love their stepchild. They can do the best by them, but it is not the same as the natural father. There are stepfathers out there who are much more a father to the children than their own fathers were, but that chemical is not the same. That's like saying that men and women are equal. We're not. How the frick are we equal? I've got a vagina and David out there's got a penis. That's doesn't make us equal, does it? In fact, what that does is makes us part of the same. I can't actually go here now because I'm now talking about David. Dean entered his penis into my vagina and created 2 children. That penis is one half something that enters into a vagina. Gay couples cannot conceive children naturally. They have to, if they want a child, adopt. We live in a adoption drive that is driving people into adoption. Come and adopt this child, like the puppy pounds. I'm getting kicked all over the place here by Shiloh, his little ruffian. He's trying to kick it up here now, aren't you? Seriously, I'm going to kick your head in a minute. Absolutely. Seriously, I am. I'm kicking my son's head in. Kicking his head in. You have to be careful with us Aspies. We say things that other people don't quite get. Mother friend to kick child's head in. But this is what I'm saying. These people, these social workers, have got to chill out, mate. You know, send them over to Africa for a year, part of their studies, and see real poverty. And actually, Africa's not very poverty-stricken, but it's like Russia. You know, we're bled to believe that Russia is this horrible people that are going to come over and destroy us in a war at some point. But actually, Russia is one of the most beautiful countries. Even Snowden will tell you that itself. Russia is beautiful. The people are lovely. You know, we are just deceived by the media. But the problem is the public is being deceived as a result of social services. The public believe in order to have a child taken, you must have done something wrong. You must have significantly harmed your child. Well, if that's the case, my children were taken 7 years ago, and I have never been committed to a crime. I have never been put into prison for significant harm to my children. But my children were taken from me under such greatness that I couldn't have my children. Well, if that's the case, I should be in prison. But I have 2 other children, been through the services. Even they said that my file was incorrect. Couldn't do anything about it because it's a different constituency. You know, we have this problem in borderlines to constituencies, and it's a bit of a challenge. But the general public perception is you must be a crackhead, you must be a smackhead, you must have hit your child, you must be a rapist, you must be a child abuser. You know, children don't get taken for nothing. And we've got to break this. We've got to change. Hang on, because you're going to knock that over. We've got to change this stereotype. Because this isn't the case. Children are being unlawfully and unnecessarily detained and removed, and children are being taken for forced adoption and placed through foster care. They make money off of the back of children. People are paid. Social workers are paid. Judges are paid. Police are paid to remove the children. All of this, basically, under law, is classed as state kidnap and child trafficking. They are moving children from one loving parent and they are placing them with something else. That is child trafficking. Whether those children are being sexually, physically, or emotionally abused is another matter. To remove a child is abusive. It is a draconian act. It is emotional abuse. It is actual physical harm because some of them are physically restrained to be removed. It is actually medical harm because it's causing mental health issues. It is actually, you know, it's also sexual harm because a lot of these children are then coming back as gay or gender neutral. What's happened there? Who's just kicked who? And to take a child away from their actual real lives and place them into another life is abusive. What the police and judges and social services are doing in the family courts. Fake. And on legal planning is abusive to the families, and it is causing. I'm gonna have to go, darling. I got to go and buy some nappies. It's causing devastation around the world, and it's up to us to stop it. It's up to us to get the message out, and it's up to us to do something about it. So please find out. I'm getting absolutely trashed by my kids here. Find out who your MP is, get writing, and also start living your own life as well. Take back the power of your own life. They might have taken our kids, but they can't take ourselves. You're nappy. Okay. Anyway, guys, I'm going to go and tend to my children, and I'll catch you later. Be thinking of me later, because at about 8, 9 o'clock tonight, I'll probably be a roaring lion. See you later. Bye. Oh, I got kicked in the face then. Sorry.